try to answer a question I get a lot. One question that I get a lot is, what's the longest shot you'd actually take on a deer? And it's hard to explain, and I'm going to try to do it, but it depends on a buttload of variables. If I've already practiced that day and I know I'm money, that's one consideration. If I haven't taken a shot that day and I'm kind of iffy about my first shot, that's another consideration. If the deer know that I'm there, or just that something's goofy, they're kind of on edge, that's another consideration. If they're oblivious to me and they're just happy-go-lucky, that's another consideration. So generally, you can see my woods are very full of trees. At this time of year, there's a lot of leaves on them. Most of my shots at this time of year are under 15 yards. So you can see that coffee cup, that's 15 yards. So most of my shots are even closer than that. And I put a pink balloon on that deer to represent the perfect shot. This is 20 yards right here. So where this purple balloon is. I haven't shot this bow since Friday. So I hunted with it Saturday night and Sunday morning, and then I went out with the compound, but nothing walked in front of me, so I haven't shot any bow in a couple days. So right now, if this was a 20-yard shot and the deer presented itself right there, knowing what I know right now, I'm not going to take that shot. I don't feel confident at 20 yards. 15 maybe, under that, almost more than likely. So it's kind of hard to explain. 15 yards is my money shot, right? All right, that's if the deer doesn't duck down because they hear my bow. I can usually hit pretty much where I'm aiming there. At 20 yards, I personally am aiming maybe an inch or two high because my arrow's going to drop, because I'm used to taking that 15-yard shot. Now at 23 yards, that's about the longest distance that I would ever take on a deer. If I knew I was money that day, the deer didn't know I was there, and I had a perfect shot, maybe I would take that shot. Anything further than that, and I'm definitely not going to take it. So if, let's just say, I'm shooting a broadhead and a lighted knock, so we're not doing field points. I don't know it's going to be money. Broadheads are another variable when it comes to traditional shooting. I'm pretty dialed in with these, but there's always something that could go wrong. So let's just say right now, if the deer kind of knew I was there, what I would do is aim as if I was shooting at that 15-yard shot. Because I know my arrow, if I'm shooting from 20 yards and I know my arrow is going to drop 2 to 3 inches by the time it reaches that deer, and the deer kind of know I'm there, their body is also going to drop probably 2 or 3 inches in the time that my arrow gets there. So I hope that makes sense. So if I know the deer are aware of me and they're a little nervous, you can expect them to drop pretty quickly. By the way, as a side note, you're better off, if you're worried about a deer ducking your arrow, you're better off shooting them when their head is up. They can drop less quickly when their head is up than they can when their head is down. When their head is down, they can use that as a counterbalance to drop their body even more quickly. So if you're worried about a deer ducking your arrow, you're better off shooting when their head is up. So, getting back to my point, if it was a 23-yard shot and the deer weren't aware of me, I would aim at my 20-yard spot, because I still expect them to drop 2 or 3 inches just from the sound of my bow. So now, just for giggles, let's say I did take this shot. Again, I haven't shot my bow since Friday. It is now Monday. I'm cold as I could possibly be. let's see where that shot would end up if I took it from 20 yards. And depending on where the arrow hits on that deer, I'll tell you what my next thought would be. If it's money and I see the deer drop, I might go in right away. I rarely do go in right away. If it's back, depending on how far back, I might wait 24 hours before I go in. So let's just take the shot, see where I'm at, and we'll go from there. I'm pretty sure I would be money at 15 yards, but between 15 and 20, for me personally, it goes from pretty, I can hit that, let's say an 8-inch plate at 15 yards, I can hit that most likely 9 to 10 times out of 10. Back here, we're quickly dropping down to like maybe 7 to 6 out of 10, and that's a big difference. So, broadhead, lighted nock, haven't shot in the bow since Friday. Let's see what would happen. So it's high. So let's see what would have happened had I let that go. See, in my mind, I was expecting that arrow to drop a little bit more, but it didn't. So, if that was a real life shot, I think we probably would have gotten both lungs. But in real life, we all know that deer would have probably ducked 2 or 3 inches. So in my best guess here would be that I had spined that deer. And that means you're going to want to quickly go in with a second shot as a follow-up. Like I said, if I had hit that pink balloon, that's a best case scenario. That deer is not going anywhere. So I was high, about 4 inches, but all right with the, the left and right. So unless I saw that deer drop, I would probably wait 4 to 5 hours before going and looking for that deer. I don't film my hunts, so I can't go back and look at them in slow-mo. Maybe that's something I'll do in the future, but none of this makes sense in the end. If you still ask me how far is the furthest distance I would take on a deer, what's the furthest distance I would take a shot on a real deer, it depends on so many variables. But for me, personally, I want a 15-yard and under shot. Later in the year, when all these leaves are gone, and I gotta shoot from like 18 yards to 20 yards, or even further, I'll break out the compound, because it's just a different tool for a different situation. So, hope y'all enjoyed this, and I hope it makes some sense to you at all. Otherwise, well, anyway, have a great day. Take care.